Moving to Texas, these are the things that you must know about mortgage financing in the great state of Texas. So with COVID, we started to see a lot of people moving space. Lots of people are coming to Texas. So before you move, it's really important. There's a few things to note about getting a mortgage here that you need to be aware of. I'm Jennifer Hernandez, loan officer for almost 3 decades. On my channel, I am passionate about educating homeowners with real facts, no BS, about everything mortgage financing. Okay, so moving to Texas, everything you need to know about a mortgage. Number 1 is income. So when you're moving here, know that you do have to have a job in order to repay the debt that you're going to be taking out. So whatever the payment is on the mortgage that you're going to get in Texas, you'll need to make enough income to qualify for that. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So if you're coming from another state, we're just going to say California. We've seen a lot of people coming from California. If your job is still in California, it will be mandatory that we verify with the employer that your job is remote. So if it's a job where you have to show up every day, you're required to be there physically, that income will not be able to be used for the home loan in Texas. But there are some exceptions. If you buy the home as an investment property, you might be able to have success with the home purchase. So make sure that you talk to a local lender as soon as possible if you feel like this might be applying to you. Now, the other thing about income is that you might have a job already lined up in Texas, and that's okay too. So if you're an hourly employee, meaning you get paid by the hour, you're 40 hours a week, then we'll need you to start the job so that we can see a pay stub showing that you're actually a full-time employee. If you're part-time, the calculation on that is a little bit different, and some time might be required to pass before you can buy a home. So again, that's what you want to make sure and talk to a lender about directly. Now, if you have an offer letter, let's say that you are an engineer and you have a salary that's expected, it's the same every month, and you're a full-time employee and you have an offer letter. So if you have an offer letter with a start date, you've been cleared for hire, then we quite possibly will be able to use that salary that maybe the job will start in a month. You potentially could close prior to starting that job. So again, income can be a little bit tricky, so that's why it's important to talk to a lender as soon as possible. Number 2 is making sure that the use of property is very, very clear. Now, I have a video on this, on the 3 types of property that you might want to watch. I've got the YouTube card above. It's regarding primary residence, a secondary or vacation home residence, or an investment property. So it's extremely important that as you're looking to buy a property in Texas, that it's very clear of what your use of the property is going to be. Now, there's a lot of mortgage fraud in this area, so I'm going to go ahead and address it. You want to make sure and watch this video to make sure that you don't accidentally get caught into saying something that might not be 100% accurate. So make sure that you watch that video and you talk to the lender about, am I living there as my primary residence, or am I going to be using it as a rental? Okay, so it's really, really important to check this out as soon as possible. Now, if you're liking this video so far, make sure you comment. I want to hear your questions. I'd love to know what you're thinking, and I'll answer you. So we're talking again about moving to Texas, what you need to know about a mortgage before you move here. So the third thing you need to know is that you can possibly use rental income for the property that you're leaving behind. So some people move across state lines or to another city, and they have a house in that place where they used to live, and they want to use rental income. They're going to rent it out, and you want to use rental income on the new purchase. You want to use rental income to offset that payment on the house that you're leaving. So there are instances where this is possible, and there are instances where it's not possible. So you want to listen really closely. Rental income can only be used on the departing residence that you're departing if you're going to a new property using a conventional loan. So if you're going to a new property and you're using an FHA loan, which stands for Federal Housing Administration, you're not going to be able to use the income to offset the payment of the home that you're leaving behind. So that's a really, really important factor that you need to know if that is something that's going to affect how you qualify for the new home that you're going to purchase. So in the example, let's say that you're going to a new place and you're using a conventional loan and you have rental income from the home that you're departing. So in that instance, we're going to be able to use 75% of that rental income. So here's an example. Let's say that the rental income that you can get that's the market rent is $2,500 per month. If you times that by 75%, that leaves us with $1,875 that we can use to offset the payment on the home that you're leaving behind. Now, let's say the payment on the home that you're departing from is $1,500, and we've got $1,875 as income. You can only use the income up to the payment. So if your payment's $1,500, we can use the income to offset that, but we can't give you any extra benefit or income for that extra $375. So that's really important to take note of that. Now, I have another video about using rental income to qualify for the mortgage. It's on the YouTube card above, so you want to make sure to watch that one if that's a topic that applies to you. If you're not going to be renting out the property that you're departing, then we're going to need to count that full payment against you. So again, in the example of the $1,500 payment, we will, and if that includes tax, insurance, and all those prorated expenses, that number will be calculated in your debt to income ratio. So on the new purchase, you'll need to qualify, you'll need to have enough income to not only withstand the new payment, but the old payment as well. One last thing to note is that if you currently have an FHA loan on a property that you're not going to be selling, in the new place where you're going to live, when you relocate, you will not be able to get another FHA loan. Now, there are some exceptions, so you might want to talk to a lender to see if any of those exceptions apply to you. But for the most part, you can only have one FHA loan at a time. So lastly, the important thing for you need to know when you're moving to Texas is talk to a local lender. A local lender is going to know the local taxes, the local insurance, the local fees. Did you know that fees for buying a home are different from state to state? Now, that local lender will know all of those details, and they're also going to know if there's any down payment assistance programs that you might be eligible for. So make sure that in the mix of when you're shopping for a loan that you get some recommendations from friends, a realtor, family, on someone local in that state that might have helped them before. That's a great place to start. So just to recap, the 4 things that you need to know before moving to Texas if you're going to be getting a mortgage is number 1, it's very important to determine income. The second thing is the use of property, and if it's going to be a primary residence, a vacation home, or an investment property. The third thing is, will you be using rental income on a property that you're departing? Will that apply to you? Will you need to be using rental income to potentially qualify? And lastly, the 4th thing is using definitely the consultation from a local lender to make sure you have any and all details about the state that you're moving to. So there's lots of moving parts in relocating. Let me hear your questions. I want to hear your comments, your questions. Please share this with friends, and also make sure to stick around and watch another video that I have especially for you on how to buy a house without going broke. Thanks for sticking around. I look forward to educating you soon.